There's no other Mars that can remove what others are afraid to face. There's no other Mars that can end cycles with dignity like you can. There is no other Mars that can act without ego. There is no other Mars that performs the will of the unseen creator. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. I'm away from my usual office today, but I've been feeling some things and I wanted to bring you some amazing information about Mars. But I want to ask you guys a few questions first. I want to know if you're feeling the same thing I am. Let me know in the comments below if you're experiencing what I've been experiencing. And if you are, then hopefully this video will be very helpful to you. I feel like something is happening in our collective right now, and almost everyone can feel it. So many people are angry for no reason. Other people are crying for no reason. They have no idea why. People who never get rattled are shaking inside their own skin right now. Some are exploding. Some are shutting down. Some feel like they're watching their life from the outside and can't make themselves care. But I'm here to tell you that nothing is wrong with you. The reason we're feeling this way, and the reason we feel this way about every 2 years or so, is because Mars is moving into the constellation of Ophiuchus. You see, when Mars moves through Ophiuchus, the body reacts before the mind can even understand what's happening. This is not what they would call a psychological transit or an emotional transit like the moon. This is literally a physiological one. This is the death of desire, but not necessarily the loss of passion. It's the stripping away of every action that came from fear, performance, survival, or even self-protection. Some people are feeling anger, despair, numbness, dread, or complete exhaustion. And some people are ready to burn everything down. Others can't get out of bed. Many feel like their old coping mechanisms stopped working overnight. If you're feeling this way, you're not regressing, you're purging. And it's a necessary step in the cycle of Mars. We can't forget this. We can't ignore Mars in Ophiuchus. Mars in Ophiuchus is the spiritual surgeon. He cuts away what is dead. He removes what you no longer have permission to carry. And it's not because you did anything wrong, but because something inside of you is literally finished. And this is why it feels so raw right now. You can't negotiate with a transit like this. You can't bypass it with mindset work. You can't skip over it and put Mars in Sagittarius right now. And you definitely cannot meditate your way out of what your body is trying to release for you. This is the moment where action must become completely, brutally honest. Most people only know Mars as the fight or fornicate energy, that angst, that anxiety inside of you. But it's also the source of our motivation and our bravery. And Mars in Ophiuchus is a completely different animal. Mars is not going to let you fight the wrong battle. He's not going to let you chase what isn't aligned. He's not going to let you keep acting from fear or from habit. Literally, if you try to force your way or push your way through this energy, your body's going to stop you. If you try to stay small when you're meant to be big, your rage will break through the floorboards. If you try to disconnect, your nervous system will short circuit. And this is the ultimate and holy recalibration that we get to do every 2 years. So hopefully you notice that something in you is being rewritten at the level of instinct. And so what I'd like to do in this video is give you the remedy. And the remedy in general isn't really just sitting there and calming down, because that's not the remedy for certain Mars energies, right? It's not pretending that you're fine. And it's definitely not the spiritual bypassing. The remedy here is Mars. You really need to give the body somewhere to go. And for some people, that means movement. For some people, that means sex. For some people, it means crying until the pressure breaks. And for some, it means sitting perfectly still and not abandoning themselves. Mars doesn't need drama, he just needs direction. So this transit is teaching you how to act without reaching, how to feel without exploding, and how to move without burning your life to the ground. And so Mars is going to be here for a few more weeks until the beginning of the year, when everybody piles up in Sagittarius. So if you know your natal Mars, that's helpful because these readings will be based on where your natal Mars is in your own birth chart. There is a link to my free chart calculator in the video description below. Please click on that and look for the Mars symbol, which is the male symbol, the circle with the arrow pointing off of it. Whatever constellation that sits in, that's your reading below. So what I'll do is I'll go through each natal energy for Mars from Scorpio to Ophiuchus. We're going to go clockwise. And then for those of you special souls that have Mars in Ophiuchus in your natal chart, this is such a special time for you right now because you're going through your every 2-year Mars return. And that's a big moment because the Mars-Mars cycle is part of this energy for you. And right now is a reset. So what we're going to do for you guys with Mars and Ophiuchus, for you special souls, you're going to get at the very end Mars and Ophiuchus through the houses so that you can get the specific and exact remedy depending on where in your chart Mars is. Because if you have a first house Mars, it feels very different than an 8th house Mars, regardless of what sign it is, but for specifically Mars in Ophiuchus. So I'll share my screen. We'll go over the astrology of right now. We'll look at Mars, what Mars is aspecting, and then we'll get into the individual natal Mars energies. Okay, friends, here is the night sky. Well, I took away the atmosphere. If the atmosphere was in there, we would not be able to see Mars because Sun and Mars are so close to one another right now. But here's Mars in the leg of Ophiuchus. And we have the date 12/1 is really when it becomes more exact. And Mars will be here for a short time until about solstice, Christmas time. That's when Mars will cross the galactic center and then Sun will cross the galactic center. So this new moon is going to be very, very interesting. I'm very excited to share this next lunation with you. So this next month, we have Mars in Ophiuchus. So that's the sky. Let me show you the chart next so that we can really process this and the aspects that Mars is making. Mars in Ophiuchus, the spiritual surgeon. Yeah, this is really just opening yourself up to complete vulnerability to the point where you don't have to do anything. Because really the enlightenment for Mars is to enact the will of the creator. And at this point, Mars is so enlightened that there's no required action. Sometimes just being is enough of the doing. So let's look at, this is what we're going to do with this deep dive, just to reiterate that. We're going to discuss the current transit of Mars. We're going to talk about who Mars in Ophiuchus is, who is this character, and how does this Mars in Ophiuchus affect you? Ophiuchus Mars through the houses. So basically, that's what this presentation is. This is the chart with Mars perfectly centered in Ophiuchus. And what I've done with this chart is put Mars on the ascendant, and Mars will stay here for each of the sign presentations, but Mars will move when we get into Mars and Ophiuchus in the houses. So what I want to do is just look over this chart really quick, see what aspects Mars is making. As you can see, Mars right here is making a T-square to the lunar nodes. South node in Leo and North node in Aquarius. There's also some square energy with Mars approaching Saturn. So we're going to be feeling Mars in a square to Saturn. This is like a push and a pull, stepping on the gas and stepping on the brakes. You feel both of these energies and you want to do both when Mars contacts Saturn in a square. But the lunar nodes is much more karmic. Like we're all sort of sitting here wondering, like, what's the point? And that's the way Mars and Ophiuchus can make you feel. Like, why do I do what I do? Why do I wake up every day and give 110%? What is the purpose of that? What do I gain from that? What if I did it a little bit differently? So I think we're all asking ourselves these questions. And because Mars is so connected with who we are, because it's our actions, right? The moon is how we feel. The mind is what we say, what we think. But Mars is our actions. And sometimes our actions come out of nowhere, or we don't really examine why we do what we do. And so for Mars to be in a T square between the lunar nodes like it is, you feel this push and pull already, even before Mars makes contact with Saturn. It feels like a very heavy moment. And then, of course, Mars in Ophiuchus is deep, it's profound, it's paradoxical. It can be paralyzing, which is very, very hard for Mars. When we talk about these lunar nodes, we've got, the South Node in Leo. It's like remembering our divine innocence, going back to the core of who we really are. And then the North Node in Aquarius is what's good for the whole, what's good for the collective, what's the most effective way to do things for futuristic purposes. So we're all marinating in these very difficult energies. Even if Mars had nice aspects right now, the motivation would be still a little bit more difficult because of the deep and profound energy. Now, some of you may be feeling completely motivated, but being pulled in a different direction than what you normally were. So there's a shift here as Mars moves away from the South Node and towards the North Node. In general, we're all going to be feeling more purposeful in our actions. And then as Mars crosses this galactic center right here, this is a Phoenix moment. So how we identify with our actions may completely change altogether. So very interesting transit. Let's move into what Scorpio might be feeling like. So normally I put a slide on here with instructions, but just go into the description box or into the pinned comment. Grab the link to your natal chart if you don't know where your Mars is. Look for this symbol right here, the male symbol. And if it's over here in Aries, then you click on the Aries timestamp. If it's in Gemini, you click the Gemini timestamp. Simple as that. If you're already a student and you're learning from Stellar Foundations right now, or you're learning with me, it may benefit you to listen to all of these so that you know how to read these deeper energies in charts for the public in general. Okay, so let's get into Scorpio Mars. So here is the chart we're going to be looking at. This is for everybody. And what I will do is I will add your natal Mars as we go around. So the next slide will be Mars born with in Scorpio. So if you were born with Mars in Scorpio, Mars in Ophiuchus is going to feel like this. You're going to get a remedy for that. And we will move through all the signs just like that. So this is what the basic template will look like. Let me show you what I mean. So here's Scorpio Mars. So for you guys, you've literally already felt the Mars return. So this is literally the month after or weeks after you've already had your Mars return. I would say probably around the end of October, the beginning of November, you were feeling that Mars return energy. You were feeling that cycle reset. Let me give you an example of what someone with a Scorpio Mars might be feeling right now. Let's say, for example, you text someone and they take longer than usual to reply. Your body is going to react instantly. You're going to feel the heat rise in your chest. Your mind starts scanning for what you've missed, and suddenly you're replaying old patterns as if they're happening again right now. So instead of spiraling, you put the phone down and walk outside for 10 minutes. You guys are carrying the weight of the recent 2-year Mars return. It feels like the intensity never fully came back down. The current Mars square to the lunar nodes is forcing this unfinished business to the surface, and nothing is really staying buried here. There's a pressure building in your body as if the next move matters more than usual, and there's no more room for error. So this isn't external conflict for you, Scorpio Mars. This is an internal reckoning of desire, power, and truth. And the purge happens at the level of instinct, and the nervous system knows it. In the next month, Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus will all cross your natal Mars, and every part of you will be asked to respond rather than react. So watch out for the urge to take control and to pull the strings quietly, or even to just disappear into the silence. Old self-protection strategies may try to return. You may believe you can wait this out or handle it alone. You cannot freeze your way through this transit, Scorpio Mars. So the remedy for you would be to choose precision instead of pressure. Pick one physical outlet that releases heat without creating crisis. Stay in your body when the trigger hits rather than scanning for threats. Transformation will happen through participation, not withdrawal. And don't test people. Don't assume betrayal. Do not create a crisis to release tension. You do not need to burn anything down. The purge is already in motion. Your job is to stay awake while it clears, and that is it. So that's you, Scorpio Mars. Libra Mars. You wake up and suddenly everything feels louder than usual. Someone might ask you a simple question and your whole body tightens, and you don't know what you want yet. You feel pulled in two directions at the same time. You say yes to keep the peace and instantly feel resentment building under your skin. An hour later, you're exhausted and you haven't even done anything. Natal Libra Mars is experiencing Mars moving through the first house from their natal Mars. This feels like the body is suddenly waking up after a long sleep. There's raw irritation without a clear source and a strange urgency to do something without knowing what that something is. You currently have Venus, Mercury retrograde, Black Moon Lilith moving through Libra right now. And every relational imbalance is being exposed in real time. Even small interactions can feel overwhelming or even strangely loaded. So you're being activated to call yourself back. Libra Mars is used to orienting through the other, reading the room, and adjusting behavior to maintain equilibrium. Transiting Mars in this position is removing that buffer for you. You're being asked to act on your instinct rather than response. You're being asked to erase old self patterns, and you're delaying decisions. Certain things that were there before are no longer available. So it's a struggle. The blind spot here is that you think the discomfort means something is wrong with the relationship or that a conflict's brewing, when it's actually not. This tension that you're feeling is inside of you. You might try to over-explain. You might try to apologize preemptively. You might try to smooth things over before anything has even happened. You may also feel angry at yourself for not knowing what you want fast enough. And so what you need to do, Libra Mars, is pause before agreeing. Move that body before you start talking. Make one small decision that's based on your preference, not on keeping the peace. Your vitality increases every single time you choose clarity over harmony. A 5 to 10 minute reset, step outside, a stretch, a breath. This will keep Mars responsive instead of reactionary. And you also want to make sure that you're not waiting for someone else to move first. Do not take on emotional labor that no one asked you to carry. Do not disappear to avoid tension unless it's really what you want to do. This isn't the time to negotiate your needs away. You're learning here in this phase here that choosing yourself is not threatening connection. It actually stabilizes it. Okay, Mars and Virgo. I can imagine you sitting down to start something simple and suddenly noticing 10 things that are out of place. Cabinet door is crooked, an email needs rewriting, the way someone phrased a message is bothering you and you just can't seem to let it go. You're going to tell yourself that you'll start your task after you fix just this one thing. And then an hour later, the original task is untouched and your body is buzzing with irritation. Virgo Mars natives, you guys are in a very unusual space. Virgo is empty right now, with the exception of 3i Atlas until December 5th. So there's no planetary buffer here absorbing this tension. Transiting Mars recently completed its 2-year departing sextile to your natal Mars. This is a brief window of clarity and productivity. But as Mars moves deeper into Ophiuchus, it will approach a departing square to your natal Mars. And the body may begin to register rising pressure, irritability, and a sense that the systems are slipping out of your hands. You're being asked to confront your relationships with perfection, efficiency, and control. And the sextile really did boost your ability to fix and refine and improve. This approaching square, however, will reveal where improvement has become anxiety and where responsibility has become self-punishment. Your instinct to correct everything before you can rest is being exposed as unsustainable, to say the least. So you really need to watch for believing that if you stop tending to these details, everything's going to fall apart. Because that being compelled to fix problems that don't actually need intervention is creating an internal pressure that feels like external urgency, but it's really an illusion, because you're going to be more overwhelmed the more you focus on these microscopic flaws instead of actually taking care of what needs action. So the remedy here is to choose completion over correction. I know that sounds terrible, Virgo, Mars. Do one task all the way through before you even touch the next thing. Ground through the body, walking, stretching, clearing. Do it all with intention, not through mental loops. Reduce stimulation. Simplify your inputs and actually let good enough be a temporary spiritual practice for you. Your nervous system will regulate through order, not through overwork. And don't micromanage yourself or others either. Don't dismantle what's working because it's not perfect. Don't let the minor irritations dictate major reactions, right? You're not falling behind. Just take a breath. Nothing catastrophic is happening. This transit is here to show you that stability comes through consistency, not control, and not perfection. Leo Mars, this is me. So I'll be reading this from the royal we perspective. So here's what we're feeling, Mars and Leo. We post something, we say something, we make something we're proud of. We voice our opinion because we think someone cares. And then the room goes silent. No response, no recognition, no reflection. Within minutes, our chest tightens and our minds start writing a story that we are disappearing. We feel the heat rise, not as anger at others, but as fear that we are losing ourselves. Leo Mars is moving through a waning square from transiting Mars and Ophiuchus here. The peak's already passed, but our nervous system has not caught up. It feels like we're dying to be seen and no one is seeing us. There may be a quiet panic that our fire is going out or that our purpose is slipping away. And the body registers this as urgency, even if nothing externally is happening. This is activating a confrontation with our relationship to visibility, validation, and self-expression. Leo Mars is used to translating action into recognition. See me, see what I'm doing. Ophiuchus and Mars interrupts that loop. And we are being asked to act without applause, to create without an audience, and to stay connected to ourselves when nothing is being reflected back. And the blind spot here, Leo Mars, is that we may believe that being unseen means being irrelevant. And we may interpret silence as rejection. We may feel tempted to perform harder, overgive, or retreat entirely. And the fear is not that others will forget us, although it might be. The fear is that we will disappear into ourselves. So what we need to do is do something that makes us feel alive without requiring a witness. Create privately. Move the body before making it a meaning. Let desire come from the inside rather than the response we hope to receive. Our fire regulates when it's used for expression rather than proof. And the medicine is choosing authenticity over the audience. So Leo Mars, don't chase attention. Don't take silence personally. Do not abandon yourself to protect your pride. The ego is not dying. The identity is being purified. And this transit is teaching us that our light is real, even when no one is looking. Cancer Mars. I can imagine you waking up and the energy in the room already feels different. Someone in the house is quiet or moving differently, and your whole body reacts before anything is said. Your stomach tightens, your chest feels heavy. You start scanning the emotional temperature of the space and adjusting yourself to keep everything calm. An hour later, you're exhausted and nothing actually happened. So what you guys might be feeling now is you're getting, oh, this is intense. This is actually the golden phoenix angle that we've been talking about for months now. So those of you with Cancer Mars, let me know if this is resonating. This creates a sudden rise in instinct and emotional sensitivity, and it feels physical rather than mental. Over the coming month, Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus will activate this placement as they move through the lunar cycle. These individuals will feel every shift in tone and timing with amplified intensity. So those of you with Cancer Mars, you need to watch the lunar cycle right now. Yeah, small change is going to feel really huge for you guys. This is awakening your emotional body in real time. Cancer Mars, you're going to act through feeling rather than thought right now. The golden phoenix angle will turn that into a purification process. Old protective patterns may surface. There's an urge to pull inward, or caretaking others before yourself may intensify. This is your release. Be careful though, because you may believe that the discomfort is coming from other people when it's actually coming from within you. You might take responsibility for emotional states that aren't even yours. You may think something's wrong simply because the body feels activated. Sensitivity isn't the problem, it's absorption. So what you may need to do is feel before trying to fix something. Move before responding. Take care of you. Eat, stay warm. Put boundaries up around your emotions. Also, choose one grounding ritual and repeat it daily for the next month. Sleep as much as you can. Be around or in water. You don't need to solve anything. You just need to stay inside your own body long enough for this next month to pass. And try, so here's what you need to avoid at all costs. Don't take on the mood of the room. And don't try to keep the peace by leaving yourself either. Don't make decisions while you're upset. This lunar cycle is literally going to pass through you like the weather. So you are learning to let emotion move without turning it into meaning. Mars in Gemini. So here you are walking, driving, or moving through your day, and your mind is 3 steps ahead of your body at all times. You reach for something without looking and almost knock over a glass. You miss a turn because you were thinking instead of noticing. You speak too quickly and the words come out sharper than intended. Nothing really disastrous happens, but there's this like split second where you feel how close it was. Instead of pushing through the momentum, you stop for one full breath. Bring your attention back to your hands and your feet. You guys are experiencing what's called the quincunx. This is an inconjunct angle from the transiting Mars in Ophiuchus back to your natal Mars in Gemini. This is a mismatch between instinct and movement, where the mind is fast and the body is delayed. It can feel like reactions are harder to control and coordination is slightly off. At the same time, transiting Jupiter has been moving over your natal Mars, which amplifies energy output, confidence, and momentum. So this combination can feel pretty exciting and destabilizing at the same time. So Gemini Mars, your nervous system is being recalibrated here. You normally operate through speed, words, rapid mental processing, but this quincunx, this odd angle, introduces a friction that forces adjustment. And Jupiter is increasing the volume on everything. Thoughts are louder, speech is quicker. The impulse to multitask is stronger than usual, and your system is being asked to integrate all of it without scattering. So the blind spot here for you, Gemini Mars, is that when you are distracted, you feel invincible. You may assume that you can handle more than your body can actually track in real time. You might talk faster than you think and regret it immediately. The risk is not malice, it's the speed at which you're doing it. So accidents under this transit do not come from recklessness. They come from inattention, not paying attention. So single task everything if you can, Mars Gemini. Move slower than you want to. Put both hands on the wheel. Look where your body's going before your mind goes there first. Speak after the breath, not before it. Short grounding practices will prevent big consequences. Minds like yours don't need stillness. They need pacing, especially right now. So don't rush. Don't multitask while you're actually physically moving. Do not assume clarity just because your thoughts are fast. Avoid driving while overstimulated, texting while walking, reacting through language. Jupiter is expanding in your range, and Mars and Ophiuchus is demanding precision. So the safety that you really, really need for the next month is coming through awareness, okay? Just watch what you're doing, Mars in Gemini. Mars in Taurus. So you're probably moving through your day at your normal pace, and then suddenly something just interrupts your rhythm. A plan changes at the last minute. Someone rushes you. Technology glitches. Your body locks up and you feel an internal wall go up immediately. You say nothing, but inside there's a slow burn that feels like pressure behind the ribs. You guys are experiencing an opposition here to the transiting Mars, or at least you have been, depending on where in Taurus your Mars is. And this creates a push-pull dynamic between like literally what feels safe and what is being demanded of you. It might feel like life is speeding up while your body refuses to move faster. At the same time, Uranus is transiting the first 10 degrees here of Taurus, which means sudden change is either happening or about to for you. Even if it hasn't touched your natal Mars yet, your instincts can feel it coming. So what's being activated for you is your relationship with stability. Taurus Mars acts real slow, real deliberate, and only when it's certain. This opposition forces action before comfort, and Uranus adds a whole nother level of unpredictability, breaking your routines that you've relied on for years. But really what this energy is here to do is to free what's been held too tightly, not to take it away. You might think that slowing down here is the safest response, like it might be for other signs, but it actually increases your frustration. You're going to resist change so strongly that the pressure builds in the body instead of moving through it. You might confuse the discomfort with danger and freeze rather than adjust. The instinct to hold can become the very thing that actually hurts you, Mars in Taurus. So the remedy here for you guys is to make one small change intentionally every day for the next few weeks. Move your body before making decisions. Eat at regular intervals to stabilize that nervous system. Choose flexibility in tiny doses rather than waiting for big disruption. When you feel that internal wall rise or that frustration in someone trying to push you to do something physical and simple. Your power comes from grounded responsiveness, not immobility. So don't dig your heels in. Don't assume every interruption is a threat to your safety. Don't wait for certainty before taking the next step. Avoid saying yes when your body's saying no, and avoid saying no just because the timing is uncomfortable. This transit's teaching you that stability is not the absence of change. So go for it, Mars and Taurus. Aries, Mars, you guys wake up already in motion. And before your feet touch the floor, you're planning 3 different solutions to something that isn't even a problem yet. Someone asks you to wait or slow down, and your whole body reacts before your mind does. Your jaw tightens, your voice sharpens, you move faster to outrun the feeling of being contained. And by midday, you're irritated at delays that wouldn't bother anyone else. You try to push through it, and suddenly everything goes sideways. A small mistake becomes a big consequence. Natal Mars is experiencing the second quincunx of Mars to the Mars cycle. The first one was in Gemini. This is the adjustment phase that follows the surge of the last activation. Nothing is wrong, but everything feels slightly off. Your instinct is to act immediately, but the timing is not quite lining up. You might feel restless, easily irritated, or convinced that if you do not take action right now, something will absolutely fall apart. You guys are built to initiate, and this quincunx between your Marses forces a recalibration instead of a reaction. This transit is not actually blocking you. It's refining the aim of your fire. The universe is slowing your impulse just enough so that the next move doesn't burn energy but lands precisely. This is the moment in the cycle when you learn that power is not speed, it is command. So don't try to fix discomfort by creating motion. You might assume that energy means importance, and you may pick fights with situations that don't require confrontation. The instinct here to act first and think later is absolutely your gift, but it can also be the reason things break before they even begin. So here's what you do, Aries Mars. Move your body, but delay your decisions. Take action only after the energy drops out of your chest and into your lower body. Channel the fire into something physical for about 10 minutes before responding to anything that triggers you. Replace immediate reaction with intentional initiation. Your power right now is in choosing when, not just how. So don't force these outcomes and don't respond while your heart rate's elevated. Don't assume that slowing down means losing momentum either. Avoid taking on those battles that are simply energetically uncomfortable. This transit is teaching you that mastery is not in striking first. It is in striking only when the aligned. It is in striking only when energetically aligned. Okay, Mars in Pisces. You're going through your day just fine when suddenly a feeling washes over you that has no clear source. Nothing's happened. No one said anything. Yet your chest tightens, your eyes feel heavy, and it seems like something enormous is shifting beneath the surface. You try to explain it, but the words disappear as soon as you reach for them. You cancel plans because you can't pretend you're fine. You look at old memories without meaning to. Music hits hard. Sleep feels different. But you're not falling apart. Mars will have a very different experience in Pisces depending on where in Pisces your natal Mars is. If it's in the later degrees of Pisces here, Chiron's here right now at 33 degrees. This is when transiting Mars is making a phoenix, golden phoenix angle back to your natal Mars. So you have Chiron here, and then you have the phoenix angle energy, and it's not subtle. This may be the reason why old pain is coming to the surface, stuff that you thought you had integrated and buried, and it makes you question if it's even yours. Those of you with the earlier Mars here will have Saturn and Neptune over your natal Mars. This isn't really anything like externally explosive, but internally, everything's shifting. Y'all are carrying a very quiet storm right now. But regardless, on either side of Pisces, you're getting an activation in grief that doesn't have a story. You're feeling an ending that feels like dissolving. You're feeling the urge to withdraw so that your psyche can reorganize. You're extremely sensitive to sound, energy, dreams, memory. And the need for rest right now could feel literally non-negotiable. You might think something's wrong because nothing's making sense, and you may assume you need to fix how you feel or to make meaning immediate. Pisces Mars will try to disappear when overwhelmed, but disappearing only amplifies what's being asked to be witnessed. So what you, Pisces Mars, need to do right now is to try not to overinterpret what's happening. Water, be near water, sleep as much as you can, journal, choose softness over productivity. Your power right now is in the surrender without the collapse. So it's okay for this Mars to withdraw. You're the spiritual warrior. Avoid self-sacrifice to stay useful. Avoid numbing out to avoid feeling. And don't assume that just being by yourself is protection. And also, you guys are more prone to the spiritual bypassing. So right now, you're not being called to transcend. You're being called to metabolize and let any of those old things that have been coming up to come up and move through your body. All right. How does this sound? Mars in Aquarius. You guys are going through your day when suddenly you feel as if something is closing in and expanding at the same exact time. You're not really having anything dramatic happening externally for you, but your body is buzzing like you're waiting for a phone call from the universe. It is so hard for Aquarius Mars to relax right now. You can't sit still. You're thinking about the future and fast forward and imagining every possible version of your life at once. You're feeling pulled toward something bigger, yet completely unsure how to begin. Scrolling through opportunities, jobs, projects, friendships, and then feeling irritated by all of them because none of it feels big enough. By the end of the night, you're exhausted from possibility rather than activity. And you're asking yourself, am I supposed to be doing more? Why does it feel like time is running out when nothing's actually happening? So you guys are actually under pressure from two directions at once because you have your north node right here and your south node over here in the sky. And the north node's conjunct your natal Mars. This creates like the unmistakable sensation that fate is breathing down your neck. At the same time, transiting Mars is making that final square of the 2-year Mars cycle. So it brings a feeling of temporary paralysis where the old no longer fits, but the new is not yet formed. So just like the Leo Mars, there might be a weight of destiny here, but Aquarius will feel it differently. It shows up as urgency without any direction. So what's being activated in you right now is you're being called to break from the old identity. This is the last chance to do that before your 2-year cycle starts anew. You're being pressured to make a leap that you can't see yet. You're feeling something bigger that wants to come through, but you can't really name it. And then you have a sudden intolerance, more than usual, for anything inauthentic. And it's like a spiritual itch. It's the propulsion phase before a timeline shift. So you might be assuming that you need to figure everything out right now, which you don't. And you may think that the discomfort you're feeling means you're behind or that you're missing out, and you're not. You might feel like you're trying to solve this with logic, but it's not really a puzzle. It's just something you have to walk through. So the danger here is to try to radically change everything at once or burn bridges that are still supporting you. What you need to do is movement without overhaul, right? Channel the voltage into small but radical honesty. Say truth in one conversation. Change one pattern that drains your vital force. Reconnect with one person that you align with. And remove one commitment that no longer matches who you're becoming. The innovation will happen through micro pivots right now, not a grand exit. And your power is in choosing rather than reacting. So don't isolate when you get irritated. Just speak the truth. Don't start a revolution at midnight just because you can't sleep. Don't assume this urgency equals readiness either, because you don't want to leap before you're ready. And avoid forcing the clarity, right? The path is still forming. Let it form. Right now, your only job, Mars and Aquarius, is to stay awake, without blowing up your life. Capricorn Mars. You guys are already waking up thinking about what you have not done yet. Your day is productive. You handle responsibilities. You show up. You do what needs to be done. But right now, instead of being satisfied, there's a quiet voice saying, it's still not enough. So you look at your progress and you immediately see the gap instead of the gain. You compare where you are to where you thought you would be. You feel restless, not because you failed, but because you can't shake the idea that you should be farther ahead. This is the final sextile for your Mars 2-year Mars cycle. And what it will bring up is the urge to push for more, the fatigue from carrying too much for too long, the suspicion that progress is happening too slowly, and the fear of losing momentum right before the finish line. But here's the truth for you. Right now, don't accelerate. This is the integration phase. This is the looking around and being grateful for what you have. So this transit's asking you to consolidate effort, to stabilize who you are, who you've become, what you've accomplished, to relish the quiet rewards, and to shift from climbing to grounding. This is the first sign that something is preparing to complete. So Capricorn's usually focused on the next summit, but right now the medicine for you, Mars and Capricorn, is to see the mountain already climbed, to look down from the pinnacle. So avoid pushing beyond your physical capacity. Don't create any new goals right now to avoid feeling something. Doubling your workload will not double your success at this point. There's no gain on returns. And be content. It's okay to be content, Capricorn Mars. You're not lazy if you're content. You're landing. So very practical steps for you for the next month or so is to finish something instead of starting it, simplify instead of increase, delegate instead of taking on something new, and acknowledge one win every single day out loud. Like, yeah, I did that. All right. You can set new 5-year plans in about a month. Just let this phase do what it needs to do. Don't assume any motivation is supposed to feel explosive right now. And do not measure your worth by your output. You are not behind schedule. Capricorn Mars, you're exactly where you need to be. Sagittarius Mars. You wake up with the feeling that something's ending and something else is calling to you, but you have no idea what it is yet. You try to stay focused on the life you already built. Your mind just keeps drifting towards what's not here yet. You feel restless in conversations that used to energize you. Your routines feel too small. Your patience is thin for anything that feels repetitive or predictable. You look at your life and think, nothing is wrong, but this can't be all there is. So you check flights, you scroll opportunities, and you fantasize about quitting something, even if you have no plan. So what you might feel is like a restlessness without a target, a loss of interest in your old goals, impatience without direction, the feeling of outgrowing your own life, the urge to leap without knowing where. Nothing's wrong here. Your energy is withdrawing from what is complete. And you are about to go through a massive reset. When Mars actually moves into Sagittarius for your Mars return, you're going to have Venus there, and Mercury there, and the sun there, and the moon there. And if you are at the late degrees of Sagittarius, you're going to have Pluto there too. And so this is a hard stop on any outdated motivations and a new identity around action and desires coming in for you. It's a fresh 2-year mission. So if you're feeling a little lost right now, it's okay. Right now, the universe is just clearing your field. Be very careful not to make impulsive exits just to avoid the discomfort that you're feeling. Don't sabotage anything that's finishing up anyway. Like if you're at the end of a relationship, don't sabotage it. Just let it go as friends, right? Don't jump too soon. before losing any momentum. And don't mistake restlessness for failure either. You're not supposed to know the next direction yet. And so what you guys need to do is just let those loose ends finish, say no to commitments that extend more than 2 years, create a space without making drastic changes, and let excitement build naturally instead of chasing it. And the launch is going to come with the return. So you're going to know what to do within the next month. So I would strongly avoid against burning down your life because you feel confined right now. Hang in there, Sagittarius Mars. Don't assume that you're lost when you're simply between missions. Go outside and run really fast. Sprint and then rest. Sprint and then rest. That is how you get through this if you need to. When you feel restless, just go out there and run or swim really hard or climb really hard and then come back to it. You'll feel better because your new flame is forming and you will find that moment when it resets in about a month. Okay, Ophiuchus Mars, this reading is for you. You're not built like other warriors. Every other Mars placement, desire is their fuel. But for you, desire is the residue that eventually burns away. You were born with a Mars that does not fight for ego, survival, conquest, or validation. Your actions are not instinctual. They are initiatory. You cut away what is finished. You remove what no longer has life. You walk into endings without flinching because something in you remembers that death is not loss. It is preparation. You are the spiritual surgeon, the purifier, the one who carries out the will that no one else has the stomach to enforce. You were never meant to follow the world. You were meant to clean it. People project onto you. They feel exposed around you without even knowing why. You do not have to speak for others to feel seen, measured, or even stripped of their pretenses. Your anger isn't personal. It's diagnostic. It shows you where energy has rotted and where truth has been avoided and where a purge is way overdue. You are the only Mars that finds peace through surrender rather than through victory. You are going through a Mars return right now. This happens every 2 years for you. And most people experience this return as motivation, renewal, and a fresh fire. You are different. Every 2 years, you enter a period of psychic shedding, a death of your old identity, a collapse of your outdated desires, a purge of relationships, habits, and energetic attachments, and a very sharp intolerance for anything false or stagnant. For many, the Mars return is a beginning, but for you, it begins with an ending. What you might feel is a sudden loss of interest in something that you once fought for. You might walk away from situations without explanation. You might feel a deep internal silence before you take any action. You might feel completely stripped down to nothing and an eerie neutrality instead of passion. But you're not broken. You're rebooting. Your returns don't add energy. They clear the field so that the divine can move through you without obstruction. So every 2 years, there's surrender before strategy. There's release before renewal, and there's stillness before you get new direction. And when the purge completes, you feel it. Your body unclenches, your mind becomes surgical, your will returns without friction, and action becomes effortless and precise. This is when Ophiuchus Mars becomes unstoppable, not because you're fueled by desire, because you have none left to interfere. So if you guys resist this energy, anger can become self-righteous fire. Cutting becomes destruction instead of liberation, and detachment becomes isolation. Purpose can collapse into nihilism. And your power is not in control, it's in alignment. You are the only Mars that must remember the blade is not yours. There's no other Mars that can remove what others are afraid to face. There's no other Mars that can end cycles with dignity like you can. There is no other Mars that can act without ego. There is no other Mars that performs the will of the unseen creator. And there's no other Mars that clears space for miracles the way that you do. When you are aligned, you are the right hand of the divine, and you don't enforce it. You simply are it. So Ophiuchus Mars, I will take you through the house because you can have Mars in all 12 of your houses, and I will give you a quick remedy so that we can focus this Mars return into the specific space in which your natal Mars lives. So if it's in your first house, like this chart, your nervous system is on high alert. You might feel raw, hyper-aware, or suddenly unwilling to tolerate anything that feels false. Your body is pushing you toward a new identity, and the old self will not come back. The remedy? Do something that affirms the new you physically, not mentally. Change your appearance. Take a solo drive with no destination. Or begin a new daily practice that takes less than 5 minutes. Your body needs proof that the old chapter is gone. Mars in the second house. This is the I have. Money, possessions, or security may feel unstable or meaningless. You may be questioning what is worth keeping and what drains your energy. So the remedy is to do one controlled subtraction. Cancel one recurring expense, a subscription, something that you don't look at anymore. Remove an obligation that you do once a day, once a week, once a month. And release one possession with intention. Give it away. Your nervous system stabilizes when you choose what leaves. Third house, Ophiuchus Mars. The house of the I think. Your mind might be overloaded right now. Sleep may be disrupted. Words feel sharp. You may be seeing through people in ways that make conversation extremely difficult. So the remedy for you is to contain the signal. Speak less. Write instead of react. And limit input for 72 hours. Take a 72-hour fast from any input other than your own mind, because your power comes from precision, not expression. Fourth house of Ophiuchus Mars, the house of feeling, ancestors, mother. Old emotions are resurfacing without context. Family patterns may feel unbearable. You may want to withdraw completely. The remedy is to purify your environment, not the feelings. Deep clean one room in your house. Change the bedding on your bed. Or remove an object with emotional charge, something that you've been holding on to because it brings you memories. Burn it, let it go. And when that space clears, the body will follow you. Fifth house Mars. You might feel like your joy is just simply missing right now. Like your creative energy is blocked. You might feel numb, detached from things that you usually love and enjoy. So for right now, Mars Ophiuchus in fifth house, create something that doesn't even have a meaning. Doodle for fun. Dance alone with one song like nobody's watching. Make something wonderful and then throw it away. This resets the channel without pressure. Mars Ophiuchus in the sixth house. Your Mars return means that your body is speaking in discomfort instead of illness. Routines are collapsing. Productivity feels impossible or even pointless. So the remedy here is to do one act of physical alignment. Hydrate before you drink coffee. Take a 10-minute walk outside. And when you feel the body tightening, simply stop working for a moment. These small acts of obedience can purify the body and the mind. Mars Ophiuchus in the seventh house. You're having a Mars return in your seventh house. So relationship dynamics are shifting very quickly for you. You might feel done without explanation or suddenly unable to tolerate imbalance. Seventh house Ophiuchus Mars, do not explain yourself. Just simply adjust. Change one of your boundaries. Stop caring about something. Don't react to something that normally gets you upset. And if something does upset you, instead of lashing out immediately, take 24 hours before responding, because this isn't a relational issue for you. This is personal. Eighth house Ophiuchus Mars. This is a Mars return for you in your eighth house. And so you may feel that the intensity is rising. There's a pressure in the body, maybe a psychic overstimulation, or the sense that something very, very big is ending. So what you need to do is surrender to this. Let one thing die on purpose. Close a financial tie. Close that account. Stop chasing an outcome with something. Delete something permanently. When you choose the ending, the universe stops forcing it. Ninth house Ophiuchus Mars, you're having your return in your ninth house. So your beliefs are collapsing. Everything feels unstable when the beliefs are collapsing. You're going to feel disillusioned or strangely detached from goals that once mattered to you. So what you need to do during this time is to change your horizon, not your life. Drive a different way to work. Visit a new place, a new environment. Read one page from someone else's worldview that you disagree with, because you need expansion, not answers right now. 10th house Ophiuchus Mars. So your return is happening in your 10th house right now, and your public identity is shifting. You might feel invisible or suddenly uninterested in what it was that you were building before. And so the remedy here is to stop performing and choose one task that matters only to you. Work privately. Remove one expectation from yourself. Like, yeah, I'm not going to get that done today. Delay a decision instead of forcing it. Your legacy resets when your ego steps back. 11th house Mars. In Ophiuchus, you're having your 2-year Mars return in your 11th house, meaning that your friendships and your groups are draining you right now. Social responsibility feels increasingly heavy. You may want to disappear. The remedy here is to reduce your field, mute those notifications, change the settings on your phone and your email. Unsubscribe from the lists, decline one invitation, interact with only one trusted person. Your energy is not for the many right now. 12th house Ophiuchus Mars. So you're having your Mars return in your 12th house and you feel exhausted, spaced out, strangely neutral. Old coping mechanisms are dissolving. Nothing feels urgent. So the remedy for you with the 12th house Ophiuchus Mars, do the smallest action possible. Take a shower, open the window, sit outside for 5 minutes, be still and surrender. This is recalibration. Okay, we got through all of that. So hopefully that's helpful for those of you that want to simply analyze where your Ophiuchus is, but maybe it's not your Mars return. Some of those readings can also be helpful. Some of those remedies for those with Ophiuchus Mars in certain houses, we'll definitely find those helpful. But like, for example, I have Ophiuchus in the 7th house. So the 7th house Ophiuchus Mars energy is also helpful. So I will see you guys soon on the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Please like the video. If you enjoyed it, please hype the video to give me a little boost. Please subscribe if you're lurking. Join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. Become a channel member. Get a reading by the book. All right, you guys. I love you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.